Owen Morgan, Toby Rowland-Jones and Chris Rogers all showed off their fighting qualities as Middlesex battled through the penultimate day of their LV County Championship match with Somerset in Taunton to give them a real chance of saving this important game. A wretched second day had left Middlesex in a hole on 64 for 7 in reply to Somerset's 523 for 9 declared, but the third morning belonged wholeheartedly to Rowland-Jones and Morgan, who used the edges of their bats a little but also played some good shots along the way. Morgan had kept the innings going on the previous evening, scoring 36 of the 64 runs on the board, and he took that start to a controlled 50, which was made off 111 balls, the Irishman's 9th 4 taking him to his mark. Crucially, Rowland-Jones was then dropped by Marcus Trescothick in the slips, a miss that would have been met with plenty of groans in Lancashire. They were hoping that Middlesex would be leaving Taunton with only 1 point, which would leave 13 separating the two teams, battling to avoid the drop to the second division. Remember, Lancashire meet Middlesex in Manchester next week. That 1 point looked as if it was all the Londoners were going to take away from this match, but Rowland-Jones and Morgan were able to bat through the morning session, in which they added 107 runs. By then, Rowland-Jones had also completed what was the third 50 of the summer for him. Before this year, the 26-year-old had managed only one. This one had used up 97 balls and was reached with Rowland-Jones's 9th boundary. His partnership with Morgan had realised 110 runs by the time the lunch break arrived. This has been an odd game of cricket. Batting looked almost impossible on the first day, yet only 5 wickets fell, and many would have thought on such a dry surface the spinners may have done a job on day 3. For much of the morning, there was though no sight of them as these two batsmen made hay. After the interval, Rowland-Jones went to the top score of his career, and he'd got to 77 by the time Stefan Myberg had him held by Tom Abel at short leg, just after being introduced into the attack. That ended a match-altering stand of 130, but just 4 runs later, Morgan, now on 82, made in 4.5 hours, was stumped off the bowling of Jack Leach. Every single point is vital to Middlesex now, and so this shot from Tim Murtagh may be very significant as it brought up his side's 200, something which looked very unlikely at the start of play. Murtagh made 20 before being bounced out by Alfonso Thomas. Middlesex all out for 223 in the end to follow on exactly 300 runs behind. Sam Robson's poor form then continued as he was LBW to Peter Trigo for 4, and Somerset were back in total control. But that was to be their last wicket of the day, Rogers taking over by leading from the front. It could have been so different had this bottom edge landed on his stumps. As it was, the masterful Australian, a man who sometimes saves his best for just when his side need it the most, then reeled off several exquisite strokes, Leach not causing as many problems for the opener as he may have expected. It meant that Rogers, who's been struggling for runs of late, eased to a half-century off only 44 balls, not the kind of rearguard performance many would have been expecting. David Milan, a man who has been in good nick of late, looked far less comfortable, but to his immense credit he stuck it out for more than 2.5 hours. Rogers slowed down in the last hour but rarely missed out on balls to hit. With the pitch playing well, the Middlesex captain may feel that his side have a better than average chance of securing a draw here, one which would put his side a much more comfortable 19 points clear of Lancashire. The wicket of Rogers then is now the big one. He will start the last day on 97 made out of his side's 140 for 1, which leaves them 160 runs behind their hosts. Middlesex will effectively have to bat through most of the final day, but with Milan still there on a 34 made off 126 balls, they may well be able to do that.